Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I have another 2 reviews from you. Both of these comics are from Dynimite. The first one's going to be Evil Ernie, issue number 1, and the second issue is going to be Red Sonja, the holiday special. Evil Ernie is written by Lobdell, art by Ariel Medel. Colors by Candice Han and letters by Dave Sharp. We are catching up with Ernie, I think his name is Ernie Glickman. And it kind of starts off with something that's already happened. There's a guy that's like freaking out on this bridge. He's like rushing towards these cops. The cops have their guns, armed and ready to go, and the guy's trying to like muddle out some words because of he come to find out he'd seen this horrific scene. He leads the cops to it, and they show it. It's very graphic and violent. At the end of this review, I will show you all the art to both books, but in both books the art is stellar, especially in Evil Ernie. It really surprised me. So after you see the horrific scene, it's basically it's a group of bikers that have been disavowed, dismembered, like everything you can imagine. And basically from that point, it cuts to we catch up with like Ernie. He's on his back, he's like waking up in the woods, and he's kind of getting like bits and pieces of like flashbacks of what happened. He doesn't really remember anything happening, but as far as like the biker gang is concerned, but they do show like certain scenes where he's like knocking off someone's head, taking out some guy's spine, and then the comic jumps back to like 8 hours before that situation, and we really get a glimpse of who like Ernest Glickman, and he's just a popular regular kid at school. I wouldn't say overly popular, but he's not popular in a bad way. He's well liked. He's running for I think class president. But he also has a girl that is interested in him, and it's kind of like this brief conversation between him and her. The book jumps forward, and we do meet this his roommate or something like that, and they don't like each other. Basically, like Ernie's not even allowed in his own room, kind of thing. Then the book jumps forward to like the night of, and Ernie is just at a bar, and it's a like very heavy metal aesthetic bar, and he is there basically to death rock the crap out of the crowd. There's a band that's playing when he gets there, and eventually it's his turn to go on. It's something that he had signed up for or something like that, but some of the fans, as he's like walking up to the stage and picking up the mic, are already yelling out his name, so evidently he does have some fans, and it's not like a first time thing. But he does get up there and he rocks the crap out of the crowd, and they go wild, and he gets all this fan love and everything, and basically he leaves and goes home. He's really pimped out on the situation. There is a moment where he does meet this bartender at that bar, and she does, like, as he goes on, she does like kind of grab him and gives him like a good luck kiss, and as she pulls him closer to give him that good luck kiss, we see the Evil Ernie button for the first time. I'm not a well-versed Ernie. This is actually the first time I've ever read Evil Ernie, so I don't know anything about him. But I do know that the button has a big part of what's to come. But they show after the performance and he kills it, they kind of show him leave the bar, and they kind of show in the background that there is like a shadowy figure that's following. It's his shadow, but it's different. The book does go forward, and it's like they show him on a scooter, a moped, and he's riding home, and he's just on this high from killing it, with his song and everything, and the way the fans reacted, that kind of thing. And as he's going home, that's where we run into the biker gang. They start throwing bullying insults and this and that. And eventually they knock him off the road, and he is on like a cliff, and he basically just, plummets to the ground below, and literally he dies. Like, they show him all broken, like busted up, cut up, and that's kind of where we see the button come to life, because the button's like, could have been worse. It's not the best of situations. But that's kind of where this book leaves off. It's kind of like, that they set it up in two fashions. My honest review is, I love this issue. It's very quick, I can say that. But the art was popping. It went with the comic. I love the blood that they brought into it. The button is pretty dope. I'm interested in that. So let's get up to the next comic, that is Red Sonja's Holiday Special. It is 2 stories, and it is written by Mirka Andolfo and Luca Blengino. Then we got artist is Zulena Scotto, and then we got colors by Nicolo Laporini, and then we got Arcania Studio. Then we got letters by Jeff Eckleberry is the first story, which is Sonja's Carol. The second story is The Dance of Fire, which is also Mirka Andolfo and Luca Blengino. Then we got artist is Carmelo Zagaria. Then we got colors is Nicolo Laporini, and then Arcania Studio, and then letters by Jeff Eckleberry. Let's see. But like I said, it's broken into 2 stories, and the first one is called Sonja's Carol, and it basically starts off where she has been tasked to, by this guy named Draco, and Draco is like tasked her, and I'm bad with names, so if that's not his name, I apologize. But Draco has tasked her with, tracking down this like kind of like evil sorcerer type guy, and in the beginning of the story, we see this guy, and she has already like basically like battled and beaten him down, and he's on the ground dying and everything, and he's like, go ahead and do it, Sonja, just kill me, give me that quick death. And she's like, nah, bro, like I was tasked to track you down, kill you, and then let you die rather slowly, kind of thing. Sorry. She proceeds to do so, and while he's slowly dying, he's like, well, curses. He's like, well, you didn't know it, and that guy Draco didn't know it, but he was like, I got more power than y'all knew, and the slower my death just gives me more time to make some spell. And basically he puts this curse on like Sonja about kind of like the Christmas Carol, basically telling her that someone will come to her and basically give her choices on the upcoming future. She's kind of confused on what he says, and eventually I think he does die. But she goes off into this tavern, and eventually she starts drinking. This random guy does come to her, and he's like, hey, I'm that dude that that other guy told you about, and I'm supposed to like, and he basically paints this picture that she's going to go back to Draco, collect the bounty for the guy that she just slowly killed. He's going to put another task in front of her, and this time it's going to be to kill his own blood, and it's going to be like his son, and it's because not his only son, I think it's like one of his sons, but this specific son has stepped out of line, and he is talking against the father, and it's time for him to meet the dirt, you know what I'm saying? So the other choice is, and he paints the picture about how Red Sonja could go back and just like not take any more tasks, and she's like, maybe I could do that, and I could just walk away. And he's like, nah, because he would find you and get you to work for him again. And he was like, no, I mean like, stop working for him, like kill him, kind of thing. She like kind of like, I guess, takes it in, but then like shrugs it off because the story goes forward, and she ends up going to sleep, going back to Draco, and sure enough, guess what? Draco presents another bounty for her. That bounty is exactly, and she ends up tracking down the son. And when she gets there, she ends up listening to what the son ends up saying, and the son ends up preaching to her heart, and she ends up like going back to Draco. And at that point, we don't know if Red Sonja's killed the son or not, but she goes back to Draco, and she's like, he's like, oh, did you finish the bounty? And she's like, nope, I'm here to collect another bounty. And this time, she pulls out her sword, and basically she's going to kill Draco, and that's where the story ends off. The second story, in my opinion, is the kind of doper story. It's not to say that both stories were good, but it's just, in my opinion, the second story was kind of really more badass. The second story starts off with Red Sonja again with a bounty, and she's being tasked to track down 4 specific killers. She kind of gives you like a brief summary of the 4 killers, stating which one is more dangerous other than the other ones, and basically it's like you think the leader is the most dangerous, got a second in command, and the other 2 are underneath that. As the story goes, she has located where they are, where the first 3 out of the 4 are, and like the strategist that she is, she ends up taking out it basically the second in command, first being the bigger of the threat, and then she kills the other 2 guys easily with and they even have like a crew of guys that are with them. They basically tip her to the location of the main guy, the last guy remaining. She hops on her horse, hustles over to this other village where this guy is hiding out, and sure enough, she knows she is in the right town, because as soon as she gets there, there's traps among traps when she gets there. Like this guy starts, shooting daggers from like the walls. He starts shooting like arrows from a different advantage point. But eventually that's where he like loses kind of the advantage, because he reveals where he is. There's a long drawn out conversation about like, oh, you're never going to take me alive kind of thing, and he was like, I can't wait for you to get up here. And then Red Sonja, as he's talking, finally does get the better, she sneaks up on him and stuff to just reveal that he used the very last bolt in his crossbow to kill himself. That's what he meant, like, I can't wait for you to get up here, oh, you're not going to take me alive kind of thing. He made it imply like it was going to be like a fight to the death type of situation, and Red Sonja was kind of for it. The story does not end there though, because as she is taking off to go complete this bounty, she starts hearing music from kind of the hillside that's close by, and she goes on to investigate, hearing tons of different voices in the music. As she gets up there, she sees that it's a huge bonfire. There's a huge crowd around the bonfire, and there's some women dancing around the bonfire, and they look like they've been dancing for days in a kind of dance. And Red Sonja quickly notices that there is like a wizard or wand cast or something like that nearby, and he is basically the reason why those women are continually dancing. She ends up going to try to stop the wizard, and as she gets close, he just ends up taking control of her, and at this point just forces Red Sonja to join in on the dance along with the other women. The other women, she quickly finds out that they can use everything from like the neck up, and that's about it. They can scream, holler, talk, move their heads, stuff like that, but that's about it. The women that are dancing with her are basically, they start filling her in on what's going on, that the guy is a wizard, and he does this like once a year, where he just kind of goes to nearby villages, magically controls the women to show up at this bonfire dance, and they literally just, through near exhaustion, end up like just falling into the fire and burning themselves, because they are like magically enchanted to dance for days. And quickly after that, Red Sonja starts to try and figure out how she's going to get, out of her present situation. The book does continue where she goes and she's stuck in this present situation for days, dancing around this bonfire. But eventually she kind of hints that she's been working on something all along. She just was kind of waiting for the damn wizard to get close enough to finish off the plot. But basically stating that her armor is just not armor. That first off, it's got like magically endued and art, like it's able to protect her from any kind of foreign damage, daggers, arrows, poison, that kind of stuff. But there was something else that came along with her armor that she, like, after her armor was made, she went and had somebody else add some things to her armor, and like for two different reasons. One, like the adjustment was that there are very sharp objects on her armor, and for these specific times. Like one is so she's constant reminded that there's pain in the world. So like she's constantly being kind of sliced a little bit by the armor, not where it's bothering her or anything like that, but enough where she's reminded that she is wearing the armor. Two, that in case she ever gets in this situation, she can, and grab a piece of the armor and use it as a weapon, which she eventually does, because the fool does eventually get close to her, trying to, like, taunt and tease her some more, and eventually she does, basically cut him enough where he drops the wand, the incantation drops, Red Sonja quickly, basically grabs her sword, decapitates the dude, and that's the end of the kind of bad situation that she was in. Eventually, the crowd of people were a bunch of villagers that were in the town, and Red Sonja starts to go kill those people as well, because they were just kind of sitting there watching. But the townsfolk kind of explained that they were forced to watch as well, not magically, but if they didn't, he'd probably add them into that whole dance type thing. But that's where the story ends off. They're really great short stories. Honestly, both of them were amazing art. I'll show you all some of the art from both comics, both stories, and then I'll let y'all go on your way. If you read either one of those, let me know what you think. I was really surprised by Evil Ernie. It seems like and I'll just start out here and go from here. Here's that bloody scene with the bikers. Get you a little close up. I was really surprised by Evil Ernie. I almost passed it up. Red Sonja has been surprisingly all the way through her read. This is like the second book that I've been reading. Well, this one's like a one-shot, I guess, but her main Mothers has been pretty good. I'm going to flash forward a little bit. That's that the demon. I love that moon thing. This book. It's Pimp, Majora's Mask, and this is him on the scooter. Alright, we got Red Sonja. First story. Oop. Go back to that. And this one, the art was just, it was beautiful. It fit. Both of them are a little different on the art, but both stories were like, this part of the book was trippy. I didn't even kind of mention this, but this is just her thoughts and what would have happened if she would have continued working with Draco, basically like draining her life force kind of thing. But yeah, that's that scene right there. That's that Draco guy, Draco, I don't know. Let's see. Alright, second story. We got these the four guys that she is after. This is actually, it's so quick, but this is actually where she kills the other three guys. It's kind of just in like cut little panel. This is her going to that town. I think so. Yeah, because here's some of the traps enacting. She gets shot by an arrow. She kind of finds out where he is. She eventually makes it up there to see that he's kind of taken his own life. Backwards. This is kind of where the whole bonfire scene as she's leaving, and kind of what it looks like, the girls dancing. But hey, that's my review. Comment down below if you've read either of these, or either of these seem interesting. Maybe you passed them up and hey, I just shed some light on them. I don't know. I would highly suggest picking up Evil Ernie. It was pretty dope. But hey, y'all be good.